Come on in. AFC South champions and number one seeds in the AFC. I saw it last year. I didn't see it this year. Pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable. Week off. Worst remaining seed at Nissan Stadium next week. I'm in Houston thanks to Brymac Commercial Heating and Cooling. If you need help, they are your people. They're all over my site. And if you need tickets to these games, divisional playoff, potential AFC championship game, Tennessee tickets, it's a place to set you up maybe for once in a lifetime. Seats at Nissan Stadium, 5% off for you if you're in this room. You are a member of this site. If you're a member of this site, you're eligible for 5% off. It could be a lot of money when you're talking about a lot of money. So check them out. I appreciate your business. Congratulations. Let me get over here where I can see some comments. That was a crazy game. They played 19 terrible minutes in the second half trying to give it away. Trying to give it away. I get a threat about my kid because I don't love Julio Jones tonight, so I'm not in a great mood. I'll tell you that ahead of time. Fulton finished the game. I'm not positive if Moulton finished the game, so we shall see. Tannehill definitely won this game for the Titans. That's a good point, Mark. And these last two games against bad teams, but really played well. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, very high passer rating. Made a play that got this game saved, spinning out of that sack. Martin did a shitty job finishing, but got out of trouble. And look, it was going to be a 3 and out there on that 3rd and 5. And they were in big trouble. They were going to give the ball back. And instead, he spun out of that sack, made an amazing play to Nick Westbrook-Akina, and everything got better from there. They went up 10, and then they were in a much better position. He saved the day on that play. My column's really about that play. And, that was the story of the game. Story of the game. Really terrific. So he deserves a lot of accolades for this one. Now needs to go and do it against somebody that's going to be much better than the Texans or the Dolphins. So it could be the Steelers. I don't think so. Am I surprised Jayon Brown was inactive? When you look at the whole roster, no. Little surprised because it hasn't really taken that shape. Zubnar's a better special teams player, I presume. Dylan Cole and Zubnar being up ahead of him, though, it's got to hurt a little bit. Rashaan Evans played 2 defensive snaps, 2 or 4. I retweeted what Tehran had. He gets the snap counts the day of the game. But, I mean, this was really a game of the future for the inside backers. Cunningham, who was all over the place, played very well. And David Long. That's the future. Rashaan Evans had played pretty well since Cunningham came around until last week. And against Miami, he was back to his old self. He wasn't where he was supposed to be. And based on how they played him today, I get the sense that they're not going to be trusting that. Pitt being the 7 means a cakewalk for KC next week. Yes, it does. All right, let me get to these questions. I'll scroll back to the beginning here. Well, look, you don't have to put away bad teams. You have to beat them. And so that's what they're going to do in the playoffs. They're going to have to beat teams. The odds of putting them away early are not crazy. Ferk and Swaim have come on. I have to give them credit, making plays, particularly down near the goal line and in the red zone. More aggressive third down play calling. Julio sighting. Look, I wrote about this in my column too. That's a good Julio sighting. They targeted him 9 times, which is a world record. What do you have? 5 catches for 58 yards, and he got a touchdown. But the people who are all over me, including this threatening guy, look, he's got 1 touchdown and 400 some yards. He played 9 games. I looked at people who made his salary this year. Stephon Diggs made a little less. Tyreek Hill made a little bit more. I don't have their numbers off the top of my head, but they're substantially better, like around 100 catches and around 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Now, I wasn't expecting that from Julio Jones, but it's okay to expect something way more than 1 touchdown. So, like, if you think that me saying that he's underproduced based on what they traded for him and what they paid him this year goes out the window, and I was somehow proved wrong because the guy caught 58 yards worth of passes and had a touchdown today. That's just fucking silly. I don't understand why you would get in Julio Jones's corner on this. He's underachieved this year. Like, what won't Titans fans go to bat for? The guy's been a disappointment. Like, why wouldn't you say that? Oh, I got to get Koharski said Julio Jones is disappointment. Let's team up on Koharski. Let's threaten his kid. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm fucking about done with it, It's just fucking ridiculous. There's no arguing that Julio Jones has underperformed this year. There's no argument to it. Fucking ridiculous. I presume that's what it was about. He didn't mention Julio Jones. NWI was terrific. Number one concern for the Titans going into the divisional round? I mean, it's hard for me to pin it on one thing. Defense today didn't rush the passer nearly as well as you would have liked. Didn't force turnovers. Worry a little bit about how Derek fits back into things and rhythm out of the gate. Going to need to see the opponent maybe to dig deeper into that. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about schedule for the team this week yet. I think they'll do a lot of work on basics, fundamentals without knowing who the opponent is, self-scouting kind of stuff. I can't help but get worked up, Alex, because when I start getting emails about my family, it's beyond the pale. I think you'd still rather NWI be, I don't know, a rotational 3, but the guy does what they ask of him. Yeah, I don't think that Brett Wallace asks here. I mean, I don't think they're putting anybody on the field as a decoy for play action. I mean, he's going to get carries. I don't know if he's getting 20 carries. I don't think they're out-coached in the second half. I do think they tend to get conservative with the lead. So up 21-0, I think they do kind of, it feels like they let up a little bit. Yeah, the Colts were really a disaster today. I mean, I wonder if their job's lost over that. Whispers here in Houston that Cully is in fact going to be out. Juan, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and look at it. I think playing the Chargers would be good. because they cannot stop the run. Though Herbert is dangerous. Uh, I don't want to play great quarterbacks if I'm the Titans or if I'm anybody. Yeah. So the lesser the quarterback, the better. I didn't like the idea of the Colts because I didn't like the idea of having to beat somebody a third time, but that's not a concern anymore. Steelers certainly much weaker than the Colts overall, though. I mean, the Colts losing their final two games, it's pitiful. So, I mean, Steelers, you can't say the Colts are better than the Steelers if you look at what you had to do to get in the playoffs. Pittsburgh's are going to do it conceivably, and the Colts are not. I personally wouldn't hesitate to play for a tie tonight if I'm one of those two teams. I wouldn't want to play the Bengals. I mean, you have to be ready to play anybody. Playoff field is a playoff field. Bengals rush the passer pretty well. They've got an incredibly dynamic receiver and multiple receiver options, and Burrow has been great lately. I don't know if you could draft a receiver in the first round. I'm trying to think of the roster right away. I'd like a glossy tight end, a good two-way tight end. I don't know if that's a first rounder. I don't know what kind of moves they're making on the offensive line. You could need a lineman yet again. Wide receiver could be in the mix. Depends on what you're doing with Julio beyond now as well. But yeah, I mean, they need number two as much as they need number three. I'm not surprised. There's no reason for him to make the trip. There's COVID going around. It's not like he hasn't experienced these kind of games, or like Foreman or Hilliard need hand holding. I mean, he's certainly not Shanahan in terms of scripting, Downing. I don't know. There were several times that Mills got outside where I felt like he should just stop and look downfield again, and he didn't stop. Once I didn't see the game, it sounded like he sucked. Yeah, 7 Pro Bowlers on the Colts doesn't mean you win games. I mean, the fans had a third of the vote on the Colts. Darius Leonard isn't less of a player. Jonathan Taylor isn't less of a player just because they didn't win today. They're very good players. Weren't a very good team. My understanding is if they tie, they both make the playoffs. Yeah, the wide sweeps were not very effective. Now, maybe they helped soften things up for the runs up the middle, but they were far more effective running up the middle. I'd be very scared of the Titans drafting offensive linemen. That's why I'm not into this idea of throwing Lewan into the trash bin like a lot of people are. They still haven't found a right damn tackle, and people want him to be searching for a left tackle. I think Shane Bowen, who's this? Russell Jones. I think Shane Bowen's been very good this year. Um, I wrote that about 2 weeks ago, and I think that Jim Schwartz, who I'll write about soon, has certainly been of help behind the scenes, though we don't have any idea what he does. Defensive line isn't bad with what they have. I mean, Murchison as a role player hasn't been bad. Kyle Pecco, some guys like that. Tart when he's healthy, though he's fallen off. Um, I think Bill O'Brien is a decent coach, but he can't be power hungry. If you just let him coach, it's fine. If he wants to be GM, then you can't have it. I think Kansas City feels like the favorite in the AFC. Kansas City 1, Titans 2, Cincinnati 3. Yeah, Titans don't blitz a lot, Juan. They're just not big on singularly targeting a guy. Now, they targeted Julio 9 times today, which is a billion for this team. You don't see it very often. Yeah, this is an exciting prospect, but I think people think that Foreman will get a lot more action than he will. Ferguson's getting better, yeah, but he's no tight end one. I mean, there's no way he's a tight end one. First down running, very predictable. Jim Caldwell is not a bad coach, and he certainly is a good coach for calming things down and instilling calm. Um, I've fallen off the habit a little bit, but I try to write a note to everybody I've dealt with um, when they move on. And so, when I covered the AFC South, there weren't too many coaches, who moved on, but Caldwell did, and wound up in Detroit in relative short order. No, he wound up in Baltimore as an assistant. And so I wrote him a note in Baltimore, just thanking him for our interactions and wishing him well. And I got a note back from him like in a week, responding to my note. It's the kind of guy he is. Very classy. He and Zach Taylor have the two best coach cases. I hope national media is awake to Vrabel. I will tweet about it later on. Lack of speed from the nickel position has been an issue all year that they've covered relatively well after the first, say, 3 games with Molden. I mean, today they're losing to Amendola. Amendola is 36. Speed. They weren't getting beat by Amendola's speed. He was open more today, definitely, and he got the ball more today. That's what happens when you get open more. Whispers here indicate that Cully is perhaps in trouble. Coach of the year, all pro, MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, all that stuff is one big Associated Press ballot that gets voted on tomorrow or Tuesday. Zach Cunningham's been great. There might have been a team or two after the Titans that claimed him. We don't know. But not a lot of teams necessarily had a cap space. to make that. Well, I think the Chargers will win tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a blowout. No coach is going to talk about Coach of the Year. Yeah. Well, they can also stop sending me emails about my kid. The thing is here that Coach of the Year often seems to me to go to a coach that has overseen a dramatic turnaround. Zach Taylor fits the dramatic turnaround. Now, in run situations, you're not in nickel a lot of times here. You're in base. Yeah, and this is how they can get rid of Cully if they want to. Is pick apart his in-game stuff, which he could spend the offseason getting back on. They had some intermediate plays, I'd say, but they had two deep balls to Jones that were overthrown. One of them would have been a tough play. One of them was he was open, and Tannehill overthrew him. Didn't get along with the regime here. Was a thorn in their side, I think. Cunningham. It's a pain in the ass when he's not on board with the program. It's his reputation. Fulton was back in the game very quickly. I do not think that you need to know the opponent before tickets become available. You certainly don't need to know the opponent to buy a ticket and get a premium ticket from Tennessee Tickets. Don't need to know the date of that game, which is the 22nd or the 23rd. Well, Adam, I don't want to be a stickler on this, but he's not a free agent pickup. He's a waiver claim. People like to put trades and free agent pickups and waiver claims in the same bucket, and they're not. I mean, Titans have some trouble with free agent pickups. Josh Reynolds was a free agent pickup. Jadeveon Clowney was a free agent pickup. Vic Beasley was a free agent pickup. Those are disasters. Now, Danico Autry's a free agent pickup, and he's been brilliant. Roger Saffold, Ben Jones, those are very good free agent pickups. But Zach Cunningham was a guy who is available for you to put a waiver claim in at a very specific time with knowing the price. There's not a mystery. You don't have to negotiate. You put in a claim. You know what the cost is. You get awarded him if everybody in front of you passes on him. You put in a corresponding move about cutting somebody. I don't think the Titans even had to do that. They probably had an open roster spot. It is not a free agent pickup. So, significant difference. I'm not sure about the timing on Bud Dupree. Has it been 3 weeks already? I am sure on the secondhand market and at Tennessee Tickets, you can buy an AFC Championship game ticket right now and unbuy it if they lose. I get that they're not always in base against run-down sets, but they're sometimes in base. I'm not positive what happened to Molden. He didn't clear waivers, Adam. They claimed him off waivers. Ben Jones is a free agent after this year. Ben Jones a big one on offense, and obviously Harold Landry, big one on defense. All right, this has been well attended. People are fired up. Well, defense wasn't very good today, Ivan. I think it's going to have to be a more balanced attack. Pass rush wasn't particularly good, but they have 2 sacks and 3 hits, and they gave up 25 points to a shitty team. So it's hard to be fired up about the defense. I mean, the overall body of work for the defense has been very good. Body of work for the defense today wasn't very good, and they were getting lit up by 36-year-old Danny Amendola. I mean, that would be concerning to me. They're not going to change the offensive coordinator. And this offense was supposed to be stacked. So I think they tinker with the offensive line, maybe try to get ahead of some age issues there. I think they got to sort out receiver beyond A.J. Brown. I think they didn't address tight end enough. I mean, they probably have to make some adjustments on the cap. Harold Landry, if they're desperate, they can tag. But I haven't looked closely at next year's cap situation. All right, I think we've been pretty thorough here. Pleased to see so many of you. I know you're excited. Congratulations. Tomorrow, Outkick 360, 2 to 5 Central. We'll be talking about everything that happens in the NFL today. I'm going to go home and watch this late game, catch the highlights, everything, which I have not seen. I'm looking forward to that. Day off next weekend, I'll be watching playoff games, staying on top of things. None of this staff is head coaching candidate right now, I don't think. You see Bowen and Downing on some lists. I don't think Downing is worthy. Bowen's been pretty good, but I wouldn't think he would get a job this time around. That'd be awfully quick considering how shitty they were last year. Which position group can gain the most from the bye? I mean, I think everybody's gaining a lot from the bye. Offensive line certainly has older guys that can use rests. Why do I stay so late after the game is over? Well, I just finished writing my column. Then I set up for this. Then I do this. Live broadcast during a game, that means something to us next week. I don't know, Adam. I don't think people really want to talk to me during a game. I think you guys want to watch a game. I could maybe do a live broadcast after the game that decides who the opponent is. That would be good. It's very nice to know I'm not traveling for the next 3 weeks. And a certain 12-year-old in my house is particularly excited about that. So it'll be good to be home with my family. And this has been a pretty easy travel season, so I'm glad about that. Good to be with you all. Don't block the box. Do lock the locks. Check out Outkick 360 tomorrow, and keep reading. Appreciate all of you very, very much. Have a great night. Revel in it. Relish it. That's what I talk to my Yankee fan friends when the Yankees go well, which it's been quite some time, but we always say relish it. Relish it.